Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello, people, and welcome to Footy Judge Mo. Eid Mubarak to everyone that is celebrating Eid. I know it's a day that a lot of Muslims around in the world celebrate Eid, but we're here working. So you better hit that like button, people. The work never stops. Shows never stops. The train goes on. We're here with Aaron, of course. We're here with Dan. Jamie's story is going to be joining us. There's a lot to talk about. Arsenal are going big for Rodrygo. They are waiting for him. Rodrygo, Sesko, Saka. There is the Zubamendi news that he's waiting for Real Madrid. Will Arsenal be able to pull that off? Is it actually true that he's waiting for Real Madrid, or it's just a deflection thing about not confirming because of Real Sociedad, out of respect? We'll talk about that. Chelsea are trying to sign Kudus, and they might sacrifice Sanchez to get Kudus, who wants to leave West Ham to join Chelsea to play in the Champions League. Is he good enough? Kudus takes Chelsea to the next level, of course. There is Cherki versus Wirtz, the debate that has been going on for a bit now, especially after the game yesterday, where Cherki absolutely showed us the levels that he can bring to the Premier League, while Wirtz actually being one of Germany's best player. And he has that dog in him to actually come to the Premier League and perform like what Liverpool fans hope for. But big up everybody that is here. I'm going to ask you something early, people. If you're here now, hit that like button. It looks like thumbs up. It helps the channel massively. The like button looks like thumbs up underneath the live chat. So close the live chat and hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, we are actually on the course to 33,200 subs. We have absolutely grown the community for like a lot in the last days. Of course, a lot of you are here for the tears about Inter really in the mud now at the current moment, hiring Christian Kivo, and absolutely I don't know what is this going to happen. Why we're going from a club that is everyone is looking at in the world within 90 minutes against PSG. We really look like a banter club at the current moment, but that's for a different day, a different time. And let's go. Aaron is here. Dan is here. I think we should start with Arsenal, going and waiting for Rodrygo while everyone else is moving and going for the market. How are you feeling about the transfer news about Arsenal, Aaron? Is it confusing? And big up Jamie for joining us. Big up Jamie.
What's up, boys?
Big time now. Straight facts with Alice and Terry. Big guy now. Famous.
Yeah. Getting famous.
Yes. Getting famous, of course. How are you feeling about the transfer market, Aaron, to be honest?
Well, everyone always keeps saying, it's only the 6th of June, slow down. There's plenty of time left, and they're right. But the thing is with the transfer market, it's not really dictated by how long's left or what the date is. It's dictated by what your rival's doing. For me, some people might disagree. And I'm looking over at Liverpool. They're having an absolute whale of a time over there, signing Gyokeres. They're signing they've signed a right back replacement. They've also now looked like they're getting in Wirtz. What a signing, by the way. Can I just add that? If they get him over the door, it gives me like a Ozil to Real Madrid vibes, that generational move. Very, very, very good signing. And then I'm looking over at Man City, Reinders, you know what I mean? And then they're going and getting that Cherki. Then they're also getting Rory. That's all pretty much wrapped up. Man United are moving. Chelsea are moving. And Arsenal look like they're letting Zubimendi slip through their fingers and they don't even know where to go in terms of strikers. It's frustrating for us because we're seeing our rivals do bits and we're being left behind. So when everyone sort of says, you know, it's only early in the window, it doesn't really matter if everyone else is doing things, then it is a slow window. And that's what the definition of it is for me. And for Arsenal, it's a little bit frustrating. It's like being grounded and looking at all your mates playing outside. Do you know what I mean? That's what it feels like for us. The Rodrygo...
But the market hasn't even like kicked in yet. I know that Arsenal, to be honest with you, after the news yesterday, so I was critical of Arsenal. Right? I was critical of how Arsenal are slow a little bit.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, after the news came out yesterday that Rodrygo might be leaving and Arsenal are waiting heavily for someone like Rodrygo, I'm actually looking more positive about the Arsenal window. The reason why, if you're going to wait and you're going to land someone like Rodrygo, if you're going to wait and you land your number one target in Sesko, okay, if that's what the club wants, if that's the manager, it's a good window, but you have to wait and see. I know the panic is there because, we don't know which left winger. But if you're looking at Rodrygo and you're looking at, to be honest, we saw yesterday, Nick Williams is a very, very good player. He's direct. He has trickery. His finishing is elite. And if Arsenal are waiting for these players, people need to wait a little bit because something is cooking in the background. I know you do streams with Lee. I know you do streams with Dan. And I know they are looking at the club and they want the club to move out of love for the club. They want their club to be the best in the world. Everyone wants their club to be the best in the world. But I would understand it if Arsenal are not sitting here and thinking about Rodrygo. There are news coming from Spain that Arsenal are the number one preferred destination for Rodrygo. Yes, there are other clubs that are looking at him like Chelsea. But Arsenal are leading the race, as people say. And they are waiting for Rodrygo's decision. I know, I did this because we all know leading the race means nothing unless you go and put the offer on the table.
Yeah.
But if the window ends with Sesko, Rodrygo, Zubimendi, that must be, like, I know that I prefer Gyokeres, but for the club's perspective, it must be a 10 out of 10 window for you.
What if we sign Sesko, Zubimendi and Rodrygo 10 out of 10?
Which is what the club
Definitely
wants.
Not 10 out of 10.
The club wants this. Why not? The club wants Sesko. The club sees Sesko as a better fit than Gyokeres. That's what the club sees.
Why would they see that though? I mean, the last 3 seasons, he's been in the Austrian league, scored 16 goals. He went to the Bundesliga, got 14 goals, and then scored 13 last season. So he's regressing in terms of his goal output. I don't really know why Arsenal wouldn't look at Gyokeres, who's got 89 league goals in the same amount of time in the league. There you go, 43, 89. I know what side I'm going to choose. I want the geezer who's got 89 goals.
I would choose Gyokeres. Like me personally.
Absolutely.
If it was me, I would choose Gyokeres. Does anybody here disagree with this?
No, yeah, I choose Gyokeres as well. But I wouldn't choose. I think the goals thing is a bit different though, because obviously he's playing in the Portuguese league, which I think it would be slightly different to the German league. But I think the reason I go with Gyokeres is his output is obviously a lot better. Even if it is in the Portuguese league, but he's also played in the Championship, so like a life adjustment might be a little bit less of a nuisance for him to come in and kind of hit the ground running. Because I think like with Arsenal, they have that kind of 15, 15 goal striker, but they need someone who's going to come in and get like 20, or even like alleviate some of the stress maybe that's on Saka, because he kind of is the main person when it comes to output for Arsenal in terms of goals, and the rest kind of share it. But if there's someone else that's kind of a real threat, then people won't like double or triple up on him. So that'll help with Arsenal kind of getting over the line, because they are close. Like they need to remember that as well. You know what I mean? We talked about this last time.
Yeah, but people looked at last season, Jamie, and they're like, okay, no, Arsenal. And I agree with you. Arsenal are like, okay, no, they need to build from down. And I'm like, not really, because Arsenal were already up there. You know what I mean? What happened last season is unprecedented. So I agree with you. Sorry for interruption.
No. Yeah, I think. Listen, people love the banter Arsenal, right? And like, if you sit down and have a logical conversation with people and say, what are they missing from their team? You probably say defensively they're really strong. Roy's one of the best goalkeepers in the league. Gabriel and Saliba, Timber. I think left back might be an area that you could look to improve. I think left wing and then striker. Like midfield wise,
Kelly is one of the best left backs in the league.
Yeah, sorry, actually, I forgot about Lewis Kelly. He came through this year.
He's one of the best left backs with the experience.
Lewis Kelly. Yeah, I actually forgot about him there. But yeah, like, so you think defensively, like how solid they are. It's just, we've said this like so many times, and it's getting over the line is difficult. It's people just say you have to win a Premier League, you have to win a Champions League. But like, you think about the amount of teams, like PSG, the amount of money they spent, Man City, the amount of money they've spent, and to get to win a Champions League, if they both won one now after like having billionaire owners. So it is difficult, and that's what you're competing against. But I think we've said it before, I think Arteta needs to get these signings right this summer. There will be a bit of anxiety because he needs to bring in the right players to get them over the line. Otherwise, if he has a bad start and he doesn't get them over the line, I think he will probably admit to himself that he's maybe taking his team as far as he can and they need to get someone else in. But the danger is like the grass isn't always greener. Do you know what I mean? Like getting someone in to come in and do that is difficult. When we've seen it, other managers have come in and failed at that. So yeah, it's still up in the air, but I wouldn't be. I understand the anxiety of not signing players, and like Liverpool have signed Frimpong, but that's because he had a release clause. Like there's still anxiety in the Liverpool fan base at the minute with like Wirtz and Gyokeres, even though
there's no anxiety. Wirtz,
I'm telling you now, people are like they're freaking out because they haven't signed. But what I mean is, I don't mean it like it's a rational thing. I just mean it's because they haven't got them over the line yet. People are like, oh, why haven't they signed? Why is there delayed? Fabrizio was at the point out a tweet there being like, relax, lads, like patience with the deals. So yeah, I think it's early in the summer. If they get the deals done, like that's what he has to do. He has to get the deals done, and then you can maybe assess like how the summer went. Because yeah, Man City and Liverpool maybe have started a little bit better, but at the end of the day, when the transfer window closes, that's what matters.
The thing is, though, just quickly for me, Jay, we've sold Aubameyang 2.5 years ago, yeah, and we haven't signed a striker really properly since. We've signed Havertz and put him there. Jesus, we've tried all of that. They score 14 average goals at best. Jesus has never scored more than 14 league goals himself. So when you're waiting a process 5.5 years, and then you're also waiting to sign a striker for 2.5 years, when you're signing a striker like Sesko, who's got exactly the same output in front of goal as what you've already got, we need a striker to score goals and bang us and take us to that next level for us to go bang up top. Yeah. And you're looking at a striker that scores 14 league goals. It doesn't excite you, does it? I'm sorry. He might come in and score 30 league goals. You don't know. None of us have got a crystal ball. But if you're going to say, right, Arsenal need to elevate the 13 or 14 average up front what they've got at the minute, I'll tell you what, we'll give you a geezer that's averaged 14.5 goals over the last 3 seasons. You're going to go, yeah, but we've already got that. It doesn't elevate you for me. It may be in 2 years' time, but we need to win now. Go on, mate.
That said, Arsenal since, I think, 2020, there's 59 clubs in front of them that have spent more money on their forward line. Like they're like the 60th ranked club in terms of spending on their forward line, which is just quite incredible. Like around Europe.
I think as well, though, like you think of Saka and Martinelli, like they kind of came through the ranks, so that kind of helps. I think Martinelli was unbelievable like a few years ago.
Yeah, they obviously money there. That's true.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So they haven't had to, but I think the Aubameyang thing is a good point. But like Arteta was right getting rid of him at the time. Do you know what I mean? He just hasn't replaced him because he feel like maybe he hasn't needed to. But I think now he's realizing that he needs someone else to come in and maybe just bolster it a little bit, because you can't be relying on Marino and Havertz to play up top and kind of get them over the line. Do you know what I mean?
I think this window will say so much about Arsenal and where they view their priorities. And I think the fans will learn a lot, because if they go and get a Sesko, that to me suggests that they believe they have time. They believe that there isn't as much pressure on Arteta to go and win immediately. They believe they can bring in a player that can be developed, because we can all see he's not the finished article, albeit talented. Probably another couple of years of development until he's at the level that you'd expect to be good enough to win a Premier League. And I think if they go and get Gyokeres, I think it shows that there's a little bit of impatience. They want it to happen now, that they believe this squad is good enough to win with only a few additions. So I think you'll learn a lot this summer. I think it'll be a patient one, though. I feel like this. I don't know if Arsenal have misjudged how busy.
How do you think then they have time? Like,
I
They're
personally
sitting there and thinking they
Well,
have
do
time.
you know why I think they've got time is because there's a lot of the players in their squad are still relatively young, and in 4 years' time, they're still going to be having a couple of years ahead of them in their career. They're still going to be sort of entering their peaks, or some of them will be in it. But they are a young team, and they've kind of got a young manager in Arteta as well, and maybe they do believe they're there for the long haul. But I think they've been so close that a sense of impatience has come in because we can see that they're really not that far away. And someone who could score double the amount of goals as strikers they've had probably would take them to the next level a little bit quicker. But I'm not sure whether they're willing to take that risk or not. But I do think that as a whole, the whole project, recruitment has really been one of the biggest question marks I've had personally when I've looked at Arsenal over the last sort of 4 seasons. I think recruitment's always been something that they've not been league leaders in, to be honest with you. I think if you were ever going to criticise the biggest part of what they've done wrong, I would say it's recruitment.
I disagree.
Do you know what? That's one of the biggest frustrations.
I just disagree on this a little bit, right? Dan?
I'm trying to think of who they signed.
Jimmy, there is a massive echo coming from your microphone.
Is there?
Yeah, there's a massive echo. There is, in my opinion, Odegaard has not been a failure in recruit. Got him cheap. He is arguably, yes, he had a dip this season, but he's one of the best players in the league, if you look at it. Yes, he's not captain material, but the price they bought him, you cannot buy that quality that cheap. So they saw the future with Odegaard and they brought him in and he looked good. The likes of Declan Rice has been good. Thomas Partey has been good for them. I actually have to argue Gabriel has been good. The likes of Saliba. David Raya has been good. Ben White has been good. Timber. I can go on and on about players.
Maybe then, Mo, it's the issue is with the recruitment is the players that they haven't signed when they've needed to act. And I think
exactly this.
Yeah, and that's where I think they failed.
It's like, okay, now you got all these players, you're developing, you're getting the best out of Ben White. Timber, you waited for Gabriel, you loaned him out, you brought him back. He's one of the best defenders in the world. You waited for Odegaard to develop. You developed Saka, right wing, even Trossard for 30 million. Someone tell me how many clubs have got 30 million pound player like this that can perform in a Champions League? Not a lot of clubs. The problem, which is what I agree with you, and I'll bring Aaron in, is that you've done all of this, right? Now put the cherry on top and get the likes of, okay, let me get that guy that will take me over the line. Now give me that guy that will be a difference maker, that will win me games on their own. Sometimes you look at your club and I'm like, now I want the player that will win me the game on their own. Now I want my Ousmane Dembele from Barcelona. Well, yes, he might have failed at Barcelona, but bring him in. Now I want my Harry Kane from Spurs that went to Bayern Munich and instantly 30 goals. I want my Lewandowski. I want that kind of guy. I want my Florian Wirtz, the guy that won player of the season in the Bundesliga. You want your Ozil. You want your Alexis Sanchez from Barcelona. That is what you're looking at now. Enough of buying players to develop. And I think maybe that is the case. And one of the things that people criticize Arsenal is that they have the financial power to do this because they went in and spent 105 on Declan Rice. So you can go and buy that guy that will take you over the line. But why you're still going for the, okay, let me bring this. Rodrygo looks like a player that can take them over the line. You go and do that. You're proving to me that, yes, I am here to actually win the trophy. And I think that is Danny's point, to be honest. But before Aaron goes on, guys, there's over 700, almost about 800 people in the house, and we're only on 130 likes. I don't want to stop the show until you hit the like button. This show should be on 400 likes. The like button pushes YouTube. If people don't know what the like button is, it's not your approval. It just tells YouTube to push this to new subscribers, to new viewers. So please, guys, hit that like button underneath your live chat. Go ahead. There is music in the background come from someone. I don't know who as well.
Oh, it's more. I have dog music on in the background for my dog outside.
There is music in the background and it might demonetize the stream. So big up Jamie for demonetizing that stream.
Now, big up to you though, Mo and Dan. I think you were talking sense about the Arsenal things, and that's where the frustration stems from for myself, because you've waited this long. Say you've finished second 3 times in a row. You're on the cusp, some people will say, of getting over the line, and then you go and sign or look to sign a project striker. This is where the frustration stems with me, because I think sign Sesko 2 years ago. Sign him last year minimum at least, not now when you're thinking, wow, this is going to be 6 full seasons under Mikel Arteta. You've got this squad built. You've got no excuses. Go and get the geezer that can get you over the line, and you're bringing in a project striker. It just screams to me like it's just buying Mikel Arteta time, because it will do. That's what it will do. It'll buy him time, because the excuse will be at the end of the season if we don't get over the line. Oh, yeah, but he's a young striker. Oh, yeah, he's still developing. Whereas if you get in a Gyokeres, 27 years old, entering his peak form, he's getting the numbers in there. There's no excuses then if you don't win the league, is there? And
Aaron,
that's
there's one thing I thought with the situation around the striker is potentially Berta's come in through the door and sort of said, look, Gyokeres is where we need to be heading. That's the type of striker we need to buy. If there's any sort of rebuttal from Arteta and he said, no, I like Sesko, we've looked at Sesko, we thought we were going to get him, and that's what I want to sign. Is he just giving him enough rope to go and make that decision? If Sesko doesn't work out, then he's got a little bit of like weight and something against Arteta to go to the board with and say, look, I gave him his chance. This is what he wanted. He's ultimately signed that player and he's failed. We need to look elsewhere. I'm the sporting director, and the sporting direction he's heading in is different to what I think this club should be heading in. Do you think that gives him a chance to do that if it goes wrong?
Mate, I totally get it. And I've answered this question a couple of times before. Yeah, you're right. You know, there could be a scenario where Berta is giving him just enough rope to hang himself, and you get a new manager in maybe in a 6 months' time, maybe a year, who knows? But the problem with that is who suffers? Arteta don't suffer on 15 million a year. Berta ain't suffering. The players ain't suffering. It's us players that are suffering. So you're saying, yeah, let's say go, give him his signings. Let Arteta hang himself. The problem with that is what happens to the next manager when he picks up more Arteta crap? Do you know what I mean? If he signs Sesko and says Zubimendi, and let's say another player that we don't really agree with or don't really fancy, all right, yep, he's got enough rope. He's hung himself. He's gone. But look at what the next manager's got to pick up.
Yeah, but I think the time frame is, say it takes another season or two, and he's gone for another project player in Sesko. The next manager that comes along is still going to inherit a good squad. They have to change some habits, but it's not like you've got a bad squad. You've got some really good players there that will work in a number of different systems. We've seen them for their national team achieve some really good stuff, and they've done well in other teams they've been in their career as well. So yeah, I think you've got a really good squad. You've got a great set of players. Yes, it is Arteta's baby and his nest egg that he's grown into something that's done very, very well. But I just wondered if that was a potential sort of reason why Berta might allow him to go and sign that sort of player and not really say too much about it. But I think Arsenal have misjudged how active clubs would be in this first transfer window as well. I don't think Arsenal expected other teams. They're either doing it to assess and see what they need to do, or they've misjudged and didn't think that City, they didn't think any teams bar like City and Chelsea would be active because they're going to the Club World Cup. But then you see Liverpool putting that or flexing their muscles, going to go and put down at least 200 million within the first week of a transfer window, really. Yeah. I think Arsenal have probably looked at that and gone, right, we need to get busy.
Yeah, I think you guys got it. I think you two are talking sense, and Jamie as well. But I think what we're missing here is that Arsenal think that Sesko's ready-made. The board and the people that are scouting, they think that Sesko's ready-made. The thing about it is that there's a lot of Arsenal fans that think that too, that think Sesko suited more to Arsenal than the likes of Gyokeres. I don't see it. I tried, I actually did my research lately and looked at the stats, because that's none of us here, and I have to admit, none of us here sit and watch RB Leipzig every day. None of us here sit and watch Gyokeres every day. We watch them every now and then, right? That's what we do. We watch Premier League. I watch Inter. Some of us even don't watch the rivals every game, right? I know that most of us do a lot of work on YouTube and we watch a lot, but none of us sit and watch RB Leipzig play Eintracht Frankfurt or play that dumb stuff or play somebody. None of us. We're not experts in the Bundesliga or in the League Portugal. I tried to search the stats and I'm like, yes, the Portuguese league is a little bit weaker, but there is a massive difference in the XG, the passes, the hold-up play. Like everything leans towards Gyokeres being more of a ready-made player than Sesko. The club look at it completely different. And I want someone to do a deep analysis on this to tell me how does the club see Sesko as more ready to the club and more suited to the system than Gyokeres? I don't know. I actually don't know how.
Mo,
I need someone to do this.
that's why we're frustrated, mate, because we know, we had a window, not last summer, the summer before, where we signed Declan Rice for big money, we signed Havertz, and then we signed Timber. What happened last summer? We had to balance the books out. So let's just say we signed Sesko, we signed Zubimendi, we signed whoever, we spend 200 million, and some of them don't work out. We've got no crystal ball, like I said before, we don't know that. But next summer, do you reckon, say Sesko, we spend 80 million on him, and he doesn't bang? Do you reckon next summer they're going to go, okay, here's 150 million then to go get Isak? Of course it ain't happening. That's the problem. It has to be right. You've just mentioned basically in all metrics, Gyokeres is significantly better. Why aren't we getting a significantly better striker then? I don't understand it.
People don't think he's significantly better striker. Jamie, you do more research than all of us on football. Can you tell us?
I wouldn't say that, but I don't know. I think with Gyokeres, like I said, I think like people, and I've seen some people say in the chat that like people or players coming from the Portuguese league to the Premier League, maybe the success rate isn't as good. But I don't feel like Gyokeres is like that, if that makes sense. I feel like because he played in the Championship, it's slightly different. I think he would be more of a success. But the one thing I would say is I don't think there's actually any like on the market proven strikers that would go in and 100% guarantee that like they would be unbelievable for Arsenal right now. I think Osimhen was one, but I seen something today that he was like, even Saudi were like,
Well,
you're
he
way
turned
too,
down
way too
30
expensive.
million euros. He turned down.
He was like, come here, you need to up that pay package. Like a Saudi team being told to up the pay package is just ridiculous. I think he would be someone if he came in. Like you're getting 25.
Do you know tax free, guys? You know that he turned down 30 million euros.
Ridiculous, like. Oh yeah, like I don't know. He's obviously just money mad for whatever reason. But
like I think he's crazy. 30 million euros tax free. You're turning it down, and you're asking them to pay more. I'm like, well, fuck off, Brodsky. Fuck off. Who do you think you are, Cristiano Ronaldo or something? Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're right, 100%. But I think he's probably the only one that springs to mind would be him that will come in and like actually be proven that he would probably hit the ground running because he's done it multiple times for Napoli and he did it really well at Galatasaray. So yeah, I think I'm not 100% sure with Gyokeres that he would come in and be revolutionize the team, but I think he's a better bet than Sesko as well.
Okay, great. But who's giving more odds? Like if you're putting
if I was giving odds, I would say Gyokeres. But I think
exactly.
the one thing as well though, I think with managers is they feel, and with potential players and like when they look at a player and they feel like they're bringing them in, I think Arteta has done this well. They feel like they could maybe take a player to another level. And I think that's why maybe if they feel like he's a better fit for their system, Arteta's saying, I'll back myself to go bring in Sesko and elevate his numbers to higher than what they currently are. So like, because every young player that is like hitting 13, 14 goals maybe was like, say, a player like that previously. Do you know what I mean? Like Salah was like that before when he was younger. Do you know what I mean? So players can reach higher levels. It just depends on like the environment that they're in, the manager that they have, the team that they're in. Like even playing for Leipzig and getting 14 goals, he's going to be in an Arsenal team that create a lot more chances than Leipzig. Do you know what I mean? So it could be very different, and he could maybe go on and be even better. But I think right now, I think Gyokeres will be better, especially because he drifts off a little bit to the left wing, and I think that's an area that like you can kind of move into it with this Arsenal team, and especially with like. I could see Saka picking up the ball, Gyokeres like shift over to the left wing, coming in behind, and that ball out to the back post. I just feel like that would be just like very Arsenal, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think they're a rock and a hard place. I mean, they're gonna have to take a punt on someone, but it'll be interesting to see who he does go for in the end.
Yeah, Madrid here is saying Rodrygo perfect for Rejects FC market opportunity. He's talking about Arsenal. Okay, banter, but fine. I get your joke, but not at the current moment. You're assuming that's what the club is thinking. So what else, Shane? Okay, what else? Arsenal are going for Sesko over Gyokeres. So I'm assuming that the club is thinking that Sesko is better suited to Arsenal than Gyokeres. Like that's the assumption. Like they thought that Kai Havertz will come in from Chelsea and he'll bang goals. That's just what you're thinking. We're here to analyze what they're thinking about. Like,
Mo, just on that as well. The one thing I would say with Arsenal fans is I would be hoping Odegaard comes back a little bit better than he did this season because he's fallen off a cliff since his injury. And I think he has had a big impact in terms of like their numbers going forward. Like if you bring in, say, Sesko, Saka's fully fit, doesn't miss 4 months of the season, Martinelli maybe rediscovers a little bit of form, and you add Sesko and Rodrygo to that, I think then you're looking at a little bit different. I just think they're probably just a bit too reliant on Saka at the minute, but you're hoping then Odegaard can find the form that he showed last season or 2 seasons ago.
I actually think that Arsenal should go for a playmaker, even a second fiddle playmaker, to at least battle Odegaard.
Yep.
I'm not saying go and get someone that will start. I'm not like people just take, like I was commenting on Rory and I said, remove Odegaard from the lineup, put someone else like Cherki. Number one, Cherki is a market opportunity, but go for someone similar. It doesn't have to be Cherki. My point is, Arsenal might need a 30 to 40 million pound player to at least go and battle it with Odegaard. At least give him competition. And people told me Max Doman. I'm like, I'm not sure if I can trust Arteta even to play. Arteta didn't even play in one area enough minutes when Saka was fit. And are we saying that he's going to bench the captain of the football club for a 15 or a 16 years old? I think there should be any market opportunity for Arsenal, any player, just to battle it with Odegaard. At least give him competition. Make him feel that there's someone behind him that might take his place. Because he's too comfortable, in my opinion. Like, that's what I think. But the striker thing is so pressing at Arsenal. But I want to move on to the left winger thing about it. Chelsea are signing Kudus. Rory was saying that they should be all over this. All over Kudus.
Is that confirmed, Kudus?
But no? It's confirmed. No, he's not going Chelsea. But West Ham, they want to sell him.
Yeah.
Chelsea want to buy him. You know that when two clubs are in agreement that someone wants to sell and someone wants to buy.
Oh, when Chelsea wants to buy, they'll get him.
Like, there normally has to be an agreement that will have to be in the middle. You know that. You know that. Normally, like if Chelsea get Mike Maignan, they might sell Sanchez to West Ham. And they get Kudus. Because West Ham rejected all the players that Chelsea offered. They said, we want, no, this guy. Can you give us Sanchez? And I'm like, all right. On a plate. Here is Sanchez for you. And 50 million or 60 million pounds and give us. But Arsenal left winger market. To be honest with you, Nico Williams, a baller. And by the way, anyone that says that Nico Williams is not exciting, he's exciting. He's so good. He is a very good player that absolutely will bowl at Arsenal. And I'm telling you from now, if Arsenal go and fork that Nico Williams deal, I think the pressure will be off Saka's shoulder. Because we have seen it even in the Euros. With Yamal and Nico Williams, if Yamal is marked, they pass to Nico Williams with ease. They let him go one-on-one. Take on your defender. Take the pressure of the other one. The thing about Nico Williams is that, and I'm going to say this, is Nico Williams too much for 250k a week? If that is what you have to pay for
what
your
age
top
is he?
players, no.
19, 20?
It's 21.
21?
22. In my opinion, Liverpool showed us that if you want a player and you want to win and you want to go fucking pay up. Don't dwell on like the wage. Find a way to actually pay up. Find a way to pay up. And I think Arsenal should go and fork the money. If they're waiting for Rodrygo, fine. People think that Rodrygo's going to make less than Nico Williams. No, he won't. No, he won't. Rodrygo's going to ask for a lot of money as well.
He's asking for 350, I've seen. Mad money.
No. Listen, Arsenal, and I said that for... Yes, 300.
Wow.
By the way, it's not a lot.
Williams.
Rodrygo. No, Rodrygo.
Rodrygo.
Yeah,
Williams is
he's going to be on a... To be fair, I was just looking now. He's apparently on 10.5 million euros, even at Bilbao. So if he's going to move to the Prem, he's going to want an increase, Williams. So I don't blame him for asking for that sort of money, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the most likelihood is he'll go Barcelona. Do you know what I mean? If he is to move, I think Rodrygo wants out at Madrid, because of like the situation. There's a bit of tension there, so I think that's an opportunity for Arsenal. So I think that's probably more likely. I think as well, when you kind of talk about, like, I know Williams is unbelievable and he does have a lot of quality, but Rodrygo's won trophies like consistently with Madrid, so like that would maybe tie into a little bit in terms of like experience being there. I know Williams obviously done well with Spain and stuff, but like playing with Bilbao and playing with like Madrid or Barca or Arsenal is very different. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's only a couple of years between the two of them. So I would probably edge Rodrygo if I was.
See, I watched Nico Williams at the Euros, right? And I thought he looked unbelievable. And I've watched him a couple of times in the Europa League for Bilbao. And I just didn't think I was ever watching the same player.
Yeah,
And I
agree.
wonder whether or not he needs to be in a dressing room of higher level performers, and then he ups his game.
Yeah.
So,
There are a lot of players like this. Then there's
there
a
is,
lot of
definitely.
players like this in
Yeah.
the world.
No, it definitely is, and better players make better players.
Better manager.
I think I'd look good in
manager
that fucking Spain team. By the way.
Huh?
I think I'd look good in that Spain team to
Yeah,
get that much of the ball.
Exactly
No,
right. So
Don't be a fraud. No, you wouldn't.
I think he'd be an exciting player, but I do wonder what he'd be like. I do wonder what he'd be like in the Prem. Like I don't think that signing. I think that signing costs a lot of money, but I don't think it's nailed on. But I do think the left winger market is a little bit bleak at the moment. At the same
But can
time.
I tell you guys something about this? And I was thinking about it the other day. Nico Williams has played on the left wing way more than Rodrygo. Way more.
Yeah.
Way more. So, and we have seen Nico Williams play a lot on that left wing. We haven't seen Rodrygo. People assume that because Rodrygo looked good sometimes on the right wing, he will ball on the left wing. We have seen so many wingers that are not comfortable on both sides. We have seen so many wingers.
Sorry, was Rodrygo not naturally a left winger before he came to Real Madrid, and then he was pushed out to the right because of Vinny?
But that was in the Brazilian league or
But
something
he drifts
like
out
this.
to the left, Mo. It's not like he's stuck out on the right and not allowed to go any. He has almost like a license to roam.
No, not with Vinicius.
Goals.
Not with Vinicius.
No, we have though. We have, because we've seen Vinicius go into a central area. Then it's not like we've never seen Rodrygo drift out to the left and score there. I mean, and there are iconic goals of Rodrygo scoring from the left-hand side of the pitch. So I think he'll be more than capable. And actually, you're definitely getting a player that can play both sides of the pitch in Rodrygo if you sign him. I think if anyone has the option to sign Rodrygo, he's worth whatever he costs in terms of experience, ability. If you're paying that much for Nico Williams and that much in wages, I think you're getting an even better player in Rodrygo.
It'd be a fantastic signing for Arsenal Football Club, because our left-hand side's so stale now. You know, Martinelli's been at the club for a long time. He had a good season 2 years ago, but he hasn't really
emotional. It's so emotional attached. Arsenal have this emotional attachment to players.
Yeah,
you don't let go easily. Look at how many years it took you.
We all do be like that. We want young players to do well. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially when
look at Liverpool with their right back.
No, but that's one of the best right backs in the world.
What do you mean? We got 10 million. He only had a contract, or a month left in his contract. It's unbelievable business.
That is great business, to be fair.
Yeah,
that's not even to have an emotional connection to your players.
Market, the best business transfer.
You know, I don't like
per days remaining on a contract is probably the best business you've ever.
I don't know if I'm just different. I have zero emotional connections. Some of the players that had at Inter, I had zero connections. Diego Milito won the treble. The year after, he scored some goals. Well, the year after, he didn't play well. I said, sell the guy.
What about like Zanetti?
Wallahi, then I'm being so honest. The only player at Inter that I had emotional connection to is Zanetti. Like R9, but I remember.
That's what I mean, though.
But Zanetti is a club legend. Like
I know, but I mean, like,
I have zero. But however, there is something at Inter that is different than a lot of other clubs. We never have youngsters come through the ranks.
Yeah.
You know, I can't remember one youngster that came through the ranks and played like and to be a club. Even Zanetti was born from Argentina. That's why
they leave to go and have good careers.
None of the Inter youth had good careers. None. I don't have any emotional attachment to any player at Inter. None Barella, none this like Bastoni. Nobody. No one. I just want the best for my club. I always, and maybe because Inter hired and fired a lot of managers in my time, and we actually sold and got a lot, like we sold R9 and then Adriano came to the picture, and then we saw Adriano and Zlatan came, and then Adriano came back. We sell these, we get Milito, we get Eto, they leave, I have zero emotional connection at Inter. Even people say Davide Santon, he failed, like he didn't. He played a couple of good games and that's about it. And I think all clubs should think that. I support the club. I don't support the manager. I don't support the players.
I don't know. Like, you support the club, but like you think about, like, and your attachment would be to the club in terms of like you obviously want the success of that. But people form like attachments to players in terms of what their memories of the club are. Do you know what I mean? Like my when I was growing up, it was like Gerrard, Torres, and like that's my memories of like.
But Gerrard is your Zanetti. Gerrard
No,
is an
no,
empty, so
no,
it's
but not even
fine.
that. Like Torres left for Chelsea, but like if you ask a lot of Liverpool players when they were like my age, when they were growing up, like they would feel that connection to Torres. Even like Michael Owen, like when I was like a kid and stuff, and I had like an Owen jersey, and they're like the memories that I have. And then obviously it comes to them when you're like lifting trophies and stuff like that. If you're if you're supporting a team like Liverpool or Inter or Chelsea or maybe not, no, it doesn't. But it's. Yeah, I would think it's more like the players in terms of like your memories. But yeah, 100% I agree.
I have a lot of
The
memories,
club.
but if a player, okay, to be honest, I don't treat my club as a charity club. If they do, they do. Like for me, you get paid to play for the club. You're a legend. I love Milito to bits. I love Eto, Samuel, Lucio, all the treble winning team. But if you don't perform well, I want the next player to come in and win me trophies, because at the end, I've watched Inter at San Siro multiple times, and it didn't matter who's on the pitch. I see my team play football regardless of who's gonna play. It doesn't matter who you are. The only one for me that I have very emotional connection to is Javier Zanetti. Like, and I didn't want him to retire. I didn't want him to retire at some point.
I think that's a bit sad though, because like, yeah, when I think of like football, like for me, it's not all like it's not all about the trophies and like just the players are just thrown on the pitch and like we win the trophy. It's more about like how I felt along, like say like this season and stuff, and like when we were like when Klopp was there and like that journey that we went on with him to like even like some of the games where like we lost. I was at the 2019 Champions League final, the Bale bicycle kick, and like that whole journey leading up to that, like those players that are like in that moment is like how I fall more in love with the club, if that makes sense. And like it does matter who those players are. It matters how they perform on the pitch. It matters how they like respect the club and like they like, because every club has different ways of doing things. You know what I mean? And like for me, my whole thing about Liverpool is that like we maybe not sign like the best player all the time, or maybe not winning a league every single year, but like the players go out and like they give 100%, and that's what like I would expect of like Liverpool players. And it matters to me that like every Liverpool player would think like that. And like if you speak to a lot of like Liverpool like fans or Scouts fans in Liverpool, they would say the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Even when we're performing at our worst, you'd still have the expectation that those players would perform the same way.
Yeah, 100%. Let's go back to the football. Martinelli would and will be an Arsenal record sale. Hopefully, if Martinelli goes, it will be good. We'll see if Martinelli is sold. Imagine if Martinelli go and succeed somewhere else. Eid, happy Eid, my brother and Mo Inter are frauds. Thank you, Hamid, for this with AC Milan, always in our shadow. Come back when you win a treble and come back when you win the 20th league title, Hamid. Come back, Hamid, when you win the 20th league. When you have the second star, come back. It looks far away from you now. And a treble looks in your dream. You might like not even see a treble in your lifetime. So come back when you win that.
Sure, Juventus is the biggest club in Italy anyway.
Yeah, of course.
I thought you were going to nibble there.
You was waiting for that, wouldn't you? Yeah. Nibble.
I don't. I'm just going to tell you, even Milan are the second biggest club. You don't win 7 Champions Leagues and you're not the second biggest club in Italy. I don't mind. To be honest, I don't mind that at all. Before we move on, one of the signings that people are talking about is Leroy Sane to Arsenal on a free. There is a news that just came out about 30 minutes ago, is that Arsenal might be able to get that market opportunity for Leroy Sane. Would that be all right with everyone?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I think it's not a bad signing, but it's sort of that signing I think you get after you've signed 2 or 3 of your first team sort of signing. So let's just say, for argument's sake, Arsenal did get a striker in, they got their left winger in, they got Zubimendi in. I'm sort of all for that then. If you know you're just sprinkling a bit of squad players all around that, I'm okay for that. But for me, obviously, it's not a starter signing. Surely not. I know he can play left and he can play right, so he's got a bit of versatile. But also with him, it come high wages. It'll also come, is he 29? Is he still the footballer he was? Perhaps not. You don't know. And also, we've got a little bit of PTSD about signing Chelsea and Manchester City players. You know, they don't seem to do very well when we sign them. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's an okay signing. You know, I wouldn't be too against it, but I definitely would like to see some proper players, first teamers, come in first before we sort of make them signings. You know.
Anyone has any say about that signing for Arsenal? No. This is not the signing they
No,
they're gonna-
I
It is
wouldn't.
just-
Yeah, I wouldn't go for it. I think like he's obviously fallen out with Bayern Munich and he just want to sign a new contract or whatever. But I just think there's better options out there if they want to go out and like take
It's a
that.
free
next step.
signing though. There's
I
no
know,
free
yeah, but he's
signing
gonna
at that
demand.
level.
He's gonna demand massive wages as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's
But
what
even
he's
the
fallen-
massive wages with a free signing is not better.
Yeah, but the one thing I would think about like Arsenal players coming in is that like they're gonna have that hunger to go on and like try and win a big trophy. I just think with Sane, is like he's done it all before. Do you know what I mean? Like he's like, oh, you know what, be a nice little pay packet, live in London, lots to do. Your girlfriend will be happy. Like I don't know. I think there's younger, more like hungrier players that can go after and like improve the team.
I sort of think of Sterling and Willian and things like that when I sort of get to the Sane thing, you know. I don't know. Like I said, I wouldn't mind him if he was, you know, a sprinkler signing towards the end of it. That'd be fine. But yeah, you know, I'd definitely at least rather us concentrate.
By the way,
on
Sane
bigger
is only
signings.
29. Does everybody know that Sane is not even 30?
So
Like, he's 29.
Sterling, I think, isn't he? I think he's 29, 30. And look how that went.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, that was a very bad signing. That's what just makes me think we need to stop signing these Man City rejects, and especially the Chelsea ones, man. I see Kepa earlier on this morning.
I don't think it's a bad sign. By
Never
the way,
learned.
the Kepa for 5 million for a backup for Raya is actually top notch. It's actually top notch. As a backup keeper, he's done well this season with
Yeah,
Bournemouth.
he had a okay season at Bournemouth.
Very good season for. If he comes in backup for Raya, that's not bad. Why do Arsenal fans like to complain? 5 million
Because
for
it's a
backup
Chelsea player
goalkeeper.
again. That's all it is, Mo. That's all it is.
Who
You're probably
cares?
right. If he never played for Chelsea, I probably would be going, yeah, not a bad
After the
signing. But
season,
just because
Aaron,
he has done, I'm sitting there and I'm
after
thinking of
this
all
season,
the Chelsea
Aaron,
rejects we've signed. You
5
know what I'm
million
saying.
pounds to get a backup goalkeeper of Kepa's quality. And people say, oh, yeah, he's bad. No one says he's going to start week in, week out. Like, just get that signing and then just move on. Now you have the goalkeeper sorted for the next 3-4 years. You don't have to worry about it. I don't know
Chelsea
why.
don't even want him as their backup signing. I'm sure, Jamie, you wouldn't have him as your backup either, would
Because
you?
they have 3 goalkeepers.
We just let the best goalkeeper or best backup goalkeeper in the league leave. So
You're going to replace him with Kepa? 5 million? He's all yours?
No, I probably wouldn't bring him in either. To be fair,
They have 2 goalkeepers. They have Marchvili and Allison. Why would you want Kepa?
no. If I had a choice, like of say Mamardashvili or Kepa, I'd probably still edge.
Of course, Marchvili.
Yeah, but Kepa ticks a lot of boxes for us, doesn't he? Because one, he probably has a house in and around that sort of area. The travel's probably not too bad. Spanish, obviously, there's a huge Spanish contingent at Arsenal in terms of staff, players. So I think it just ticks a lot of boxes. And 5 million. I mean, you had Neto on loan from Bournemouth as well. So was it from Bournemouth? I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you've obviously got a relationship there in terms of either staff or recruitment people. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad move at all. And that's not me saying that as a Chelsea fan, you're getting Kepa. I think he had a good season. And for 5 million, you're not getting much better. And I don't know what you've got in the youth academy that can contest a Premier League spot like Kepa can. If you've got an injury, at least you know you're being in a position of strength, bringing in a keeper that's played an okay season for Bournemouth. Like, I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah,
It's another Ramsdale, another Ramsdale.
I think there's more scrutiny being put on it because you've done nothing else, and it's like, okay, all Arsenal are doing is signing Kepa, which him and himself has made himself a meme throughout his career. So I think that's just the whole thing around it is Arsenal need to go and bring in some players that are going to strengtben their title challenge. That's what they need to do.
Top 5 under 20 players in the Premier right now. That needs a whole show. But maybe Maino, Lewis Kelly, Nwaneri, Wharton is under 20 if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe.
Who else? Baleba. Is Baleba 20 years old already? Baleba. I don't know. I don't know. Like, we need to check the ages, right? Mr. Guana here is saying Arteta's fantasy to build a Basque FC. Maybe. That's a good super chat. Thank you, Mr. Guana. Thank you so much for this. Going to before we go on to the Cherki Wirtz, Chelsea then.
Yeah.
Doing bits.
Yeah.
Delap doing bits. Challenge for the title, win the Premier League next season.
Not yet. I don't know if we've spoke since Chelsea signed Delap.
No.
I am.
Then we haven't spoken since Chelsea won the Conference League.
Okay, fair, right, yeah. Champions of Europe and all that. We have won it all though. But no, in all seriousness, I think
He has to throw that out there.
Just throws it in there.
No, because you know what? It's
throw
like
that-
the least shameless show, isn't it? And I just throw it. But no, I
alright.
think Delap is a really good player, and I think he fits Chelsea in everything they would have looked for a striker. And with the Joe Shields link, I think it was inevitable that this would be the signing that would happen. I just think it's a little bit underwhelming because I want to see a bigger name coming in that's like a signal of intent to the rest of the league. We're talking about a guy that's signed, scored 12, 14 goals this season. It doesn't do enough in terms of me getting excited for what he might add to the team instantly. But I do think he's better than Jackson. I think when I saw him step out in the kit and he's done his videos and his press launch, I sort of was sold a little bit more in the idea of him. But part of me still thinks if no one's snapping up Gyokeres, I would be on the phone saying, do you fancy coming to London? Because I just think right now, instant impact, I think you'd get more out of a top-class player that's scoring a lot of goals than Delap, who quite clearly is a player that's there for the next 6 years, here to develop and see what he turns into. But I like it. It's a signing I can get behind. It's just there's a little bit of an underwhelming factor to it, just a little bit.
I did a poll. I'm going to ask you before I say the results, but who do you think would be a better signing, Delap or Cunha?
Oh, probably
That's a
Cunha.
great question.
Like as a player, and technically, I think he will add something instantly. I think to this Manchester United team in Amorim's system. I think he will. They've lacked so much going forward, haven't they? Whereas I think Delap will add. Like, how much of a jump is Delap going to be on Jackson this season? I'm not sure it'll be as much as what Cunha will be on, like the likes of players that have played there, as like Mount and who else has been
Cherki.
up front? Yeah, Cherki as well. That they've not really had much in that area, United. So I think United's jump in that position will be far greater than Delap to Jackson.
Can I ask a question for you, for everyone in the chat, and you guys? Delap, Kudus, Neto, Palmer behind them, or Cunha, Buemo, Gyokeres, and Bruno, front four.
I think it's United's. United's is unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you're not going to get Gyokeres
with them players.
The news today, Jamie, is that he's really open to move to Man United.
They're dark horses to get him, aren't they? I think.
I think that the only ones who are willing to pay that way, Chelsea are not going to pay him 250k. Like, they aren't. We all know that. Arsenal,
why is every player demanding 250k now? It's just like
it's like the going rate of that sort of level of player, isn't it now?
They know there is no striker around. They know there's no striker around, and they know they are coming for clubs that need strikers. So they're demanding, their agents are demanding money. Like, they know.
I suppose it's a player's market at the minute in that sense, because they can kind of bump it up. But yeah, how the fuck are United affording? Sorry if I cursed. How are United affording all this? That's what I want to know. Like, where is this money coming from?
Man United.
They have injection. It's actually reported.
Like Barcelona.
He injected money. Ratcliffe injected money at the club that made them have a big leeway in terms of PSR. Like, they have a big leeway in terms of PSR. They can spend the money, and they're doing
money that he said that it was nearly all gone, or did he put in more?
I don't know.
I thought was the whole point of PSR now was that, like, you can't, the owners can't just flush cash into.
So Monday, Terry has a whole breakdown of how Man United actually are able to inject money, and how Man United, even without Champions League money, have that big of a leeway. Like, I don't know.
Because I understand.
I don't know how Chelsea are the number one club in the leeway for PSR. The number one.
Because we've sold over £300 million worth of assets. Yeah. That's how Chelsea have done it. It's a loophole that they have. They have on.
But the Premier League failed as well in closing the loophole. So you're probably seeing more teams start to do that now.
That's crazy, by the way.
Academy
I can't believe they didn't get a vote for that. Like, not even they didn't even get it to the point where it could go to a vote. It was just
It was but like, if you think about it from like a Premier club standpoint, they're probably feeling the pressure more now with like PSR now that it's like been implemented for a while. So they're like, okay, what ways can we, like, especially bigger clubs? They'll be like, what ways can we kind of get around to invest more in our team? And I think if that's a loophole, then they'll be like, right, well, let's exploit it.
PSR's
Can I
got
ask
to
you
the
guys a-
point where they need to scrap it. They need to
Can I
go
ask you
again
guys-
with a different idea
Yeah,
because
different
there's a
idea than
loophole now
PSR.
that's never going to be fixed. They've lost control. They've lost all respect from the Premier League teams. They have to scrap that and go again with something else.
Do you think Mbuemo went to Man United? Some pundit, I can't remember who, said that Mbuemo went for Man United because they're the only club that is paying 250k. Do you think Mbuemo went for Man United because of the money?
Yeah, no, I did a video on this, and oh my god, United fans in the comments are going mad at me. So they said it was a Newcastle.
I'm actually going to download your video and playing it now.
They said it was a Newcastle-based journalist that said it, but I think Newcastle United, I would still maybe like in terms of if you think about a player moving to Man United, even though he might like if he's going to get 250 grand a week, whatever the wages are, but if you think in terms of like the brand deals, the awareness is like stuff that comes into like being a player that maybe some will, I'm not saying all players will take this into account, but like if you move to Man United, you're going to get a lot more exposure than you would maybe at a Newcastle. And you could be the player to get them back to the Champions League, to get them to where they want to be. And a success at United is held on a much bigger pedestal than it would be at Newcastle at right now. And that's just the way things are. Even at United, like say in the next 10 years, who would win more silverware, Newcastle or United? Even though Newcastle are on the rise and United are maybe not where they want to be, United could still definitely like win silverware in that, like say 10 years. So it is interesting, but I do think there's definitely money. Like he's definitely getting more money at United than he would be at Newcastle, which might sway the decision.
You know, I like the money thing is big as well. But in my opinion, like, is there any better club that suited to Mbuemo at the current moment?
Not in England. I genuinely don't think that, by the way.
Yeah.
I think a player like Mbuemo and a player like Cunha are absolutely perfect for the system that Amarim's going to play. Like they are.
Yeah,
I'm not even surprised that they're the first signings that they're going after because those double tens in that system are so key to that system working. And obviously this season, United just haven't got that forward area right at all. And I think if you sign two players like that are so ahead of most of the Premier League and outperforming their XG as well, I think it sets a statement that, okay, we're trying to change the way we've been playing. We're trying to be more forward thinking. We're making a statement in how much we're paying for these players, how much we're going to pay in wages. And then all of a sudden, other players go, oh, I wouldn't mind playing with those players. That's a team that are hungry. That's Manchester United. They've still got a pull. There's still an attraction there. The conversation of with two of the most coveted stars in the Prem last season must have been really good with Amarim. They must have thought that was a really positive conversation. I think that starts attracting other players. If they end up with Gyokeres and Martinez as well, I think you can start talking about Manchester United being back in the top half for sure. And then the pressure's really on Amarim to deliver because Amarim can go and get all these players. But if Amarim's been the problem at Manchester United this season and he still can't deliver with
I think they should
talent,
target Champions League then. I think.
Oh, if they're spending
you get
that amount
Gyokeres
of
and
money,
Mbuemo, Cunha, you get Martinez, Champions League.
I don't disagree, Mo. I don't disagree with that. What I'm saying is we, as a Premier League fan base, don't know what Amarim's true ability is yet. I think we know how good Mbuemo is. We know how good Cunha is. We don't know how good Amarim is. Has he had a really poor squad? Did he focus too hard on getting to the Europa League final? Did he put all of his eggs in one basket and forget about the Premier League? We don't know that yet. What we'll know is in a season up until Christmas, he'll have one game a week with a far better squad, with much more investment that he's had already. This is his chance to prove that he is a good manager. If not, he's out of his depth and they need to act very quickly to bring someone in of a better caliber that will suit the players that they're recruiting.
Because the excuse has always been there, though, isn't it, for Amarim, saying that, we ain't got his players here yet. Wait till next summer. He needs a window. If he does get, say, 4 or 5 of them players and they're his signings, the pressure also will be on to deliver because, if you've got your system of plan and then you've got your players in there, I know it does take more than one summer window. I totally get that. But he will still be expected to deliver, one, because it's Manchester United, and two, if you get players like that through the door, say he does get a Gyokeres and an Mbuemo and the Cunha, and he sorts the goalkeeper out because the goalkeeper's a disaster that's already there, I will be expecting, and I think Manchester United fans will be expecting at least a top 4 challenge.
Yeah,
So
say
the
they
pressure
sign
will be
5
on.
players, all on
Yeah.
250 grand a week, right? And they're paying over more than $1 million in wages a week. They've sacked all those staff members. They've had all this. We've got no money. Then they spend an absolute fortune this summer. If they find themselves below 10th in the Premier League, come like 10 games in December, there will be uproar around what is going on at Manchester United and the direction of the club. So there'll be lies coming out. Being obviously, all these people have lost their jobs through no money, and then these players are being paid more than they'd get at any other club. I think Ratcliffe should have been more honest and actually said, "No, I run my business in a different way. I run it with fewer staff, less people doing less jobs." And I think it would have been a way better message that it was just a simple change of direction. You know, it happens at loads of corporate companies when they get taken over. A lot of people lose their jobs. The company moves in a different
They
way.
get good, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think it would have been better for Ratcliffe to come in and be honest rather than say Manchester United have no money and then rub it in the faces of all these people based in the community and
More
say, "Oh, look,
transparency.
yeah, no money, but we've spent like the best part of
Yeah.
200 million this summer and paying over
What?
$1 million a week in wages."
With
You've got to win.
Ineos as well, I think they're going to be under pressure if it doesn't work, because you think of, obviously they came in, they kept Ten Hag, they said, right, you're going to be our manager. There was a lot of stuff that went on. They had that meeting with Tuchel apparently last summer. Then they kept him, gave him 200 million. Probably like some of the signings probably haven't worked out. I know Man United fans are happy with like Masraoui, De Ligt. I think Dorgu's been a good signing, but like you look at the likes of Ugarte, who's kind of struggled. Hoyland, I know he didn't come in under Ineos, but like those types of signings haven't worked out. And they sacked Ten Hag 10 months in. They tell Ruben Amorim that you have to become our manager now, or you're not going to get the opportunity. They basically like pigeonhole him into coming to the club because they wanted him there and then all the pressure is on him then, and he can't get anything out of this group of players. And if they go out and spend another 200 million and bring in players on big wages, now I think they do have to move a bit of people probably until they maybe make a few more signings. But I think Cunha and Buemo, the one thing I would be worried with is everything goes through Bruno as well in that team. So like the issue could be like you're not going to see, I don't think, the same output from Cunha and Buemo as you have seen with Brentford and Wolves, because everything goes through them. Like Mbeumo scored 6 penalties, I think, or he took 6 penalties this year, scored 5. So that Bruno's going to be on them. You know what I mean? So that number is naturally going to come down anyway. So yeah, I think it is a big year for United, because I think even if the issues on the field are there and you're looking at it and saying, okay, United are struggling on the pitch, but like we have a new ownership that they were meant to bring us to success, and they've made a lot of mistakes. Like they kept Ten Hag, brought in Dan Ashworth, sacked him, brought in Ruben Amorim, spent 400 million on players that aren't working. Bruno Fernandes is getting older. We didn't take the 100 million for him. Should we have taken that? You know what I mean? There's going to be a lot of like pain coming down the line that I don't think United fans can handle anymore.
Yeah. Do you know what as well? One of the things where they're signing from is in the Premier League as well. Obviously, you'd take Gyokeres out of that if he was to come in, but Martinez established at Aston Villa, and the same obviously with Cunha and Buemo. It's almost sort of like when Ferguson was in his heyday. He was always signing the Premier Leagues who was performing very well in the Premier League. He'd go get them in and take them to that next level. Obviously, I'm not comparing him to Alex Ferguson. I'm not doing that. But what I am saying is he's signing Premier League ready players. And if they can take them players to the next level, i.e. Mbuemo's, keep him scoring 20 league goals, maybe even more, I don't know, there or thereabouts. So if Cunha, if he comes in and does the business, the goalkeeper, if he's solid this season, they'll be in a much better place, Manchester United.
Well, they can
We'll
only
see
get
how it
better on 15th.
Yeah. Oh, we're facts. Yeah. That's facts.
Yeah, it cannot go backwards. In terms of title race, do we think that Chelsea will be in the mix next season?
It's too early to say that yet, to be honest. I think Chelsea would need to add some real instant impact players to this squad to be in that conversation just yet. I do think this squad is a couple of years off of being there. I think it will get there. I think that's what the owners' whole project is, and I think the longer we go into the project, they'll judge the gap away from the top, and then they'll sort of scale their investment around different type of players. I think that's probably what they'll do. But right now, next season, I'm not sure I see it. Not yet. You know, if we get to the end of the August transfer window, and then Chelsea have gone and spent another 250 million on real good players, might be a different conversation. But right now, last season's squad with just the addition of Liam Delap, I don't think that takes you into a
Yeah, but
title
if you
race.
get Kudus and you get another striker, I think you can do it.
Yeah.
There's the
Yeah,
Hatu
but
signing.
there's no guarantee that Chelsea go and sign another striker unless Nkunku and Jackson go. I personally don't think there's any guarantee they go and sign another one. I just don't.
If
see that
Nkunku
happening.
leaves, I think you're going to sign another striker.
If Nkunku leaves and they get a decent fee for him, they could either sign like another sort of 10 or a striker. Maybe that's what they're viewing Ekatike as. But I think if you just said, "Oh, you're bringing in Ekatike and Delap into this team," I still don't think even then people would be saying this is a team that can go and win the title. But if you suddenly brought in, Gyokeres and they bring in a Rodrygo on the left wing, all of a sudden that changes the conversation. So it's the caliber of signing, I think, changes the conversation right now. But I think they will do everything they can to make sure they've assembled a squad after the Club World Cup, before the season starts, that they think will cement top four and compete to get out of the Champions League stages. I think they'll do that.
What positions do you think you guys need there to consider yourself ready for a title challenge?
I think striker, left wing, centre-back, goalkeeper is probably a must. And then maybe one other player in... I still look at Chelsea and think, when I was watching PSG, and I know they're like flavour of the month at the moment, but I was watching Vitinha and I was thinking Chelsea don't have a tempo setter. They don't have someone that can change the game's pace when it's needed, which I think Vitinha's done so well. I look at Enzo Fernandez. I don't see that player, especially under Maresca. Maresca's got him doing something completely different. Cole Palmer's not that player. Lavia is, but Lavia's not available enough. And I just wonder whether or not that'll be something Chelsea are looking at. But midfield's quite stacked at the moment. So that'll be a few seasons down the line. I think they'll have to assess Andre Santos. They've got Chelsea. I worked out the other day on a live. They've got about 8 midfielders going into next season at the moment. So they're not going to sign another one. I just think that's what Chelsea really don't have at the moment.
Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo, Palmer is one of the best midfields in the league. Together.
Yeah, but it's not guaranteed, because Lavia can't string together enough performances, which is so frustrating. When he's fit, this guy looks really good, but he just hasn't been able to put performances together, which is, I think, that availability over ability comes into the conversation there.
Starting 11-wise, do we think Caicedo, Enzo, Paul Palmer are they better than, let's say, Zubamendi, Rice, Odegaard, or Reinders, Rodri, and Cherki, or Liverpool's Wirtz, Gravenberch, McAllister? If we rank these, I just named 4 midfield combinations for the top 4 team next season. Rodri coming back from an ACL. Rodri, like Reinders, Cherki, Wirtz, Gravenberch, McAllister, Caicedo, Enzo, and Palmer, Zubamendi, what's his name?
Rice,
Zubamendi,
Odegaard.
Rice, Odegaard. I want people to rank these quickly. I don't know what Osam is calling me
Liverpool
live.
and City are the best of the bunch there, definitely. Like, they definitely are. I actually think Newcastle United's midfield doesn't get nearly enough credit as well, by the way.
Yeah,
I think that's
good point.
Really good midfield.
Yeah.
Really good. I think it's so well balanced. Tonali.
I had Tonali in my team of the year.
Yeah,
he was quality. He was really, really good. Bruno, obviously, fantastic. I think they both do. Obviously, Jolinton's got like his number 8 role, and then Bruno and Tonali, they just switch around in that sort of pivot they've got going on so well. That's such a well balanced midfield with all players being able to do a little bit of everything. I think that works really well. I think Chelsea's probably is third. I think it's a good midfield. I don't think it's quite up to Manchester City and Liverpool standard, though.
I don't just agree, because because we ain't seen Zubamendi play for Arsenal.
You might not even get him as well, by the way. I cannot believe he's got cold feet towards moving to England. There's no doubt about that. The fact that it was Liverpool last year, it's Arsenal this year.
He already had a here we go, didn't he? On I think I'm almost certain he had a here we go on Fabrizio, but it just hasn't materialised.
He's had about 5 of them. I think he's just a messer, isn't he?
Yeah.
And Xabi Alonso is obviously like the Sociedad link, and he's probably his idol, and he's probably who he grew up watching. So I would think that pull to Real Madrid now is stronger than ever, and I think they're just probably waiting for the phone call. But then there's a lot of talk around that other guy from Stuttgart, and I don't know whether that's done yet, but I presume if they go and get Zubamendi at Real Madrid, I wonder if the guy from Stuttgart is potentially then available and teams will look at him. Stiller, I think is his name.
I'd
I
prefer us to
actually
go
would
down.
not-
Go on, sorry, man.
The thing about it is that Reinders look good, Cherki look good, but we have to establish that they're new to the Premier League.
Yeah,
It will take
exactly.
a
I was
little,
about to say that.
like you have to establish that a player coming from Milan, a much inferior team to Manchester City, you know what I mean? Different system. Pep Guardiola is very hard to play in his system, especially in your first season. How many players we have seen under Pep Guardiola hit the ground running from day one? It's hard to be embedded in that system.
And
Cherki,
Rodry coming back from
bowler,
the ACL injury as well.
That's a
for
big-
Liverpool,
that's a big-
I still think that midfield look very good, but Wirtz is going to come in. He's new to the league as well. We know that McAllister is established. Gravenberch. Can Gravenberch continue with the same way he plays as a DM? We know it naturally he's not a DM. While Caicedo naturally is a DM. Cole Palmer is naturally a 10. You know what I mean? Like Enzo Fernandez, he has been playing well under Enzo Maresca. I would think it's very close, to be honest with you. I think it's very close. It's not as clear cut as people think. And for the people that say about Rodri adds a lot of weight there, I think Caicedo has performed magnificent as a DM this season. That people are sleeping on it. He adds a lot of weight as well. Cole Palmer in his bad season, he's still the number 2 player in creating chances in the league. Imagine if this guy has a striker in front of him. Anyone other than Nicholas Jackson. Enzo Fernandez has performed well as well. It would be close. I would rank, to be honest with you guys, I would rank Arsenal the lowest. And the reason why, because of Martin Odegaard. Just because of that. Because if we're assuming that Martin Odegaard is going to go back to his best, yes, you can put Arsenal midfield up there. But until I see it, because with Arsenal, there's a lot of times that we have seen Arsenal players, they fall back, they get bad, and then they never pick up again that form. We've seen Martinelli not pick up that form. You know what I mean? We've seen even others as well. Like I've seen Zinchenko, who in his first season was inverting, was doing bits, and Arsenal were challenging. And then when he didn't, like, he had a bad season and he never got back to his best. Gabriel Jesus is riddled with injuries. For me, like, with Arsenal, it is hard for me to believe that Odegaard will right away get back to his best. We'll get back to a 22 GA season. I just need to see that before I believe that. And for me, I think Chelsea are still one of the best midfielders in the league. The problem with Chelsea is that the depth is so weak.
I don't think it is now, because this is where I was saying they've got Andre Santos coming back in.
I've been watching play.
Okay, but he's had a phenomenal season at Strasbourg. He's been linked with, I mean, Arsenal were linked with him a few weeks ago. PSG, they've like mentioned his name with them. He set that league on fire in terms of a midfielder's performances at such a young age. He got captain's armband as well on loan. They've got Dario Yosego coming in as well, who, look, I've seen very small amount of him, but they've signed him. They've announced that he's coming in, so it's another person. They've got Leslie Ogachukwu still there. They've got about 8. Dewsbury Hall, who, to give him credit, finished the season a lot better than what he started. I think he was a bit of a joke at the beginning of the season. He finished way better. Lavy is there. They've got players now that I think they've got one for every position to cover, probably except Cole Palmer. I don't think they really have a good enough backup for him, because João Felix and Nkunku haven't really worked out.
Kelk, Rodri is world class, 8 and a 6 at the same time. Caicedo can't come close to that. Remember, there's 5 years difference between the 2 players, or about 4. Defensively, good defensively, but not at the same universe in terms of going forward, setting tempo, dictating pace of play. Maybe put Caicedo under Pep Guardiola for 3 years and see how he becomes a beast.
So,
I like Caicedo, to be honest. I love him.
but you know what? Talk about the midfield now. And I think we were talking about like who's going to win the league. I'm actually excited, and I'm backing Liverpool to win the league now. I haven't really said that. Obviously, if they get in Wirtz and they get in Frimpong and they get in Gyokeres, and hopefully they sign 1 or 2 more. But I think Arsenal are missing something that they might sign someone. But I think Reinders, Cherki. I just think with this, I don't know, with this Man City team, they're vulnerable a little bit at the minute in terms of, like, I think Aidan Rory is going to come in at left back, but I think defensively, like, you look at Kyle Walker, they have Nunez playing there at the minute. There's obviously question marks over the goalkeeper. I think their wingers haven't hit the heights that they have hoped. I think there's like a bit of issues there with Doku and Savinho, which are young, but I think they will adapt to good players. But they're not at that level right now. I don't know. I just feel like Slot is just, he gives you this air of confidence as a Liverpool fan, just in how he like carries himself. And I think with the money Liverpool are putting behind him to back him, it is interesting. I just think that they'll have a little bit of an edge going into next season.
I think your favourites. I think your favourites massively.
Yeah, I thought but like say up until the transfer windows are coming in, I would have maybe said like maybe like 35 Man City Liverpool and then like 30% for Arsenal. But now I think I'm like kind of 50% Liverpool, like 60% Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? I'm back on my team, man. I'm back on my team.
No, I think you've got you've acted so well so quickly, and I think there's not even an issue. The biggest issue about Trent going is the way that it's happened. It's not about what you're losing on the pitch. Because you've gone and got Frimpong in really quickly, and I think you've added quality elsewhere. So I think you've almost elevated the squad within a week, 2 weeks of the season finishing. You've got your business done early, which everyone talks about being so key. And now you've got a full summer to reset, go again. And I think you're bringing in more players that only add more hunger to the team. I think you're in a really good position.
I want
to really good.
One of the better managers in Europe at the moment.
The team as well, like if you look at like Gravenberch, I know we were talking about will he be able to adapt or continue to push on from next season, but like you look at his age, how much Slot has brought him on. McAllister's still young. I think the one thing maybe if you're looking at it is like Salah, we can't be as reliant on Salah next year in terms of like putting up them numbers, but then I think with Trent leaving, that creativity going, I think Liverpool are maybe trying to shift the dynamic of their team to.
You got a better creator in Wirtz. He's better.
But that's what I mean. But but it's a different to how Liverpool have operated in recent years. You know what I mean? It's not. They don't usually rely on like attacking midfielders. They rely on like midfielders that are really, really good at the dirty side of the game. And McAllister, I think, has been a little bit of a shift from that in terms of quality, but he is really good at like winning his duels as well. But I think with Trent gone, they realize that they need to bring in someone that has that creative output, and that's somewhere that you're not gonna replace Trent with Frimpong and get the same output. I mean, it's just completely different. So I think, I just think Gyokeres, I think, is going to bring in that energy. You have Robertson there to back him up, which is instantly an upgrade in terms of Tsimikas. And then, I think Van Dijk and Kanate are my favourite partnership in the Premier League. And also,
you got a new keeper coming in as well.
Yeah, Maresca, yeah. But I think that's already one area probably weakened because I love Gallagher.
Yeah, but I mean, Mamadashvili's like high standards coming in. Like, I think he will really push Alisson. If Alisson has injury slip-up, or not slip-ups, but like, injury absences that he has, I think Mamadashvili could come into the team, perform well, and all of a sudden there's question marks around whether or not Alisson can get himself back in. I think you're getting a really good keeper. Don't get me wrong, Alisson's still one of the best in the Prem. But I think there's an issue around his consistency and availability, isn't there, that sort of frustrates Liverpool a bit. And I think if
can we turn this conversation a little bit to something? Since we have Patrick here, we don't have a lot of time. Mo, brother, we are both modded. I won't have enough players to put on the pitch. Everyone is being sold. Yeah, Milan, you're a selling club at the current moment. And I don't think you're going to go back to the top anytime soon.
They'll make good money, though. They'll make good money this summer.
They'll make a lot of money, actually. Yeah, especially if they sell Leao as well.
I think
I want to see Leao play.
Zlatan will make good happen for AC Milan. Sorry, he will.
I really want to see Leao in the Premier League. So I want to see him in the Premier League. But listen, I want to turn this into the Cherki Wirtz thing. Paul Palmer as well. Who do you think is the best playmaker in the league? Aaron, I know you are Arsenal, you have Odegaard, you can get involved. It's all right. It's okay. You can just act like it's okay, Aaron.
You're so mean.
Mate, yeah.
I'm an Inter supporter. I fucking lost 5 in the Champions League final. I will never forget that all my life. Never forget that all my life.
Good. I'm glad now. I felt sorry for you about 30 seconds ago.
Wait a minute. Are you guys sorry, I was at my daughter's the Koida cross country. My God, in Ireland, why do you make kids run like that? They make kids run a whole beach. My daughter and a few of them gave up a phone. I was laughing. And they also racing to obviously impress their parents at the end. It was quite funny. But anyway, why is it? So wait, are we saying that Liverpool are like the favorites next year?
Yeah, that's what people are saying.
Because after I saw Cherki yesterday, my God, I'm like, wow. I didn't think he was that good. I was watching, when you're watching those when you're watching the YouTube things, I was like, okay, I see this is a Riyad Mahrez type player or one of those Hazard type players. No, I didn't know there's creativity. There was passes that I was like, my God, are we gonna cry over KDB? I don't know. Was it just me? I just saw passes. I was like, I was impressed by the passing. I thought that is just a dribble merchant. I thought it's one of them dribble merchants, fancy, but the passes and even that pass for that goal, I don't know, man. I'm starting to come out with chest now, especially with this Renders guy, because the Renders guy looks like he's the guy who's going to lock up that box to box. Obviously, look, let's be honest. I think we have to get a right back, and if we don't get a right back, but it looks like this the City pool thing is going to come back, and I'm loving it because it looks like it's going to be. Obviously, we know that people are going to put Cherki against Wirtz. I still rate Wirtz highly because I have seen him more. But yesterday I was impressed. I don't know if it's just me who was impressed. I got impressed more than I should. I was like, how are we going to swing this? That's why I think I text a few of my friends and say, you know what? We made a mistake. We should have closed this Cherki deal early because now Leon might start putting mounts on this because now we just got a news that City's bid has been rejected. So I don't know. I'm just impressed. I'm just happy to see what's happening, and I'm happy to fact that somehow we've just landed some guy.
Are Man City getting the better deal?
Then what? Then Wirtz going to Liverpool?
I think they're not. I would still say Wirtz is the better player in terms of, like, I think if you're saying the better deal is different because you're talking about money then, you know what I mean? But I would still say Wirtz is the better player. Like, people are talking about Cherki, they probably only have to watch him for 15 minutes in his international debut and saying he's unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? So you need to take that into account. But the one thing I think, I don't know, like, Pep loves to take the flair out of some players. So, and from what I've seen, like, Cherki is a bit flamboyant, like, in terms of his character.
Is Palmer better than both of them?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
No. There's no cap.
No. Cole Palmer is better than.
Is the Cole Palmer the second half of the season?
No. Cole Palmer is not.
The last 2 seasons, he's been better than those players.
Cole Palmer is not better than Wirtz.
No, he is.
Not.
Yeah, he is.
He is not. Do you know who Wirtz is?
I tell you right now, if Cole Palmer was coming from another team or was going to Real Madrid, he would be more than 130 million.
I know who Cole Palmer is. I told Chelsea fans that you're getting a baller, but Cole Palmer is not better than Wirtz. Maybe one day he will, but now he's not.
Cole Palmer is ahead of both of those
older than Wirtz. Cole Palmer is older than Wirtz.
What, by a year?
2 years.
No, I'm playing up. I think Palmer right now was probably, like, if you're talking about Premier League, I'd say better. But, like, we don't know what way Wirtz is going to come in and, like, adapt to the team. Do you know what I mean? So, and is Palmer going to? Is Palmer going to? But is Palmer going to reach the levels that he has reached? Do you know what I mean? Because he hasn't been
1 year
there. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like 18 months we've seen the best of Cole Palmer. Do you know what I mean? So it's I'd say they're pretty close, Dan, in terms of, like, their levels. I just think if you're talking about Premier League, Palmer's obviously a little bit ahead because he has the experience and he's done it. Yeah. But yeah.
But in general, as a player, I don't think Cole Palmer is better than Wirtz. I have seen things from Wirtz. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, but we've all seen.
I see someone say Wirtz was shit last year. He won Bundesliga player of the year.
Nah, that was Fugazi. That was people trying to, like, people are hurt. Like, at City, we are hurt deep down inside because I know what sort of player is coming. But I'm just saying, man, this guy Cherki for 35 million. If we pull it up for 35 million, I think people will, if he comes, because I think he's just talented. He's just too talented to hold down. You know, there's certain players that, even I told people about Wirtz, whether you like it or not, even Wirtz comes with 60%, he will look better than the most attacking midfielders in the Prem. That's how good he is. So I don't know. We'll see anyway. We're here. Because at the end of the day, Foden also did do better than Wirtz last year. But Wirtz, you have to look with your eyes. Sometimes you have to watch with your eyes. You don't look at the stats. I just say Wirtz is a baller, but I can't wait. But a lot of people, I think, are telling me, I had a French guy tell me that this Cherki deal, one day you will sit down and say, we robbed Lyon. But he also warned me and said, be careful with Lyon, because Lyon sometimes will negotiate in a way where you guys might end up saying, oh, wow, we end up paying 40 for this guy.
Yeah, but Lyon are desperate right now. They've got to sell. They're going to sell a number of different players.
And he wants to go, isn't it?
They've got a transfer ban for, like, the next 3 windows. They're in a bad place.
He was
Like,
available for 20,
before
22 million
we
or
go on,
something,
I know Aaron has to go, guys. Aaron channel in the description. Aaron talks Arsenal.
Yeah.
You can catch him on Lee. You can catch him on Dan Potts on his channel. He does a lot of call-in shows as well, so you can discuss things with him every day or every other day. He does call-in shows, so go and support Aaron, my man here. Thank you for joining us. Fantastic appearance on the National League.
Mo, big
Great
up, brother.
to see you soon. Thank you so
Hello.
much, Aaron, for being here.
Big
Yeah,
up,
man.
Mo.
Yeah.
Smash the likes up, man. Big up. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, sorry. I know that we're talking about Leon. I just needed to send him up.
No, it's fine. Apparently, the 22 million release clause was not there. It was just a gentleman's agreement. So
Yeah, but still, I think Man City are getting a better deal. However, you pay what you have to pay. But I
If
still
City
think
get
that
him
Cole
for that
Palmer is the
price,
number one.
unbelievable.
Unlike City to spend big anyway.
No, but you know what, right? As much as you say that, I feel like City spend more in terms of quantity than they do in terms of like excessive transfer fees on one player. Do you know?
Yeah,
really.
They've spent over 200 million on partners for Rodri, and they've replaced him pretty much every 6 months. They've replaced that player.
Yeah, that's what I think. Like with the evolution of this City team from like when they were unbelievable, I think they haven't got it right in terms of some of the transfers. Like I just look at, like I was saying there about like some of the and say Nunez was one that they brought in to have him playing at right back. I think that's an area that they're really struggling to deal with right now, with Walker obviously deteriorating. I think definitely in terms of Sterling, Sane, they haven't got that right. I think Haaland's obviously he's unbelievable. He's going to guarantee you 25, 30 goals a season because of how they play and they just create chances for him. But even like bringing Gundogan back, like that was weird. Do you know what I mean? They didn't need to do that. Kovacic has been like, he's good in patterns. I think sometimes he doesn't be consistent enough. And I just think they've been kind of slowly going down. And I think this season is just like they kind of just fell off the edge and now they're trying to get back. But it'll be interesting to see what way Guardiola sets them up, because I just think there's a lot of question marks around like the team and what way they're going to fit in. I think buying those players that are maybe, as you said, like 50, 60 million, like there's maybe some question marks about some of those players that they bring in
like
until
Nunez
they go out and prove it.
cost 60 million. He hasn't really, like Calvin Phillips cost quite a lot of money. That's 100
Exactly,
million on those two players.
Have you
alone,
noticed that, Dan? Like Man City, the fee they sign players are just kind of consistent. They're between the 50 and the 70.
Yeah,
like 70 is the max. Regardless of who the player is, Nico Gonzalez, same as Nunez, same as Doku.
Yeah,
Nico
Gonzalez,
like Reinders. Like it doesn't matter who the player is. It's the same fee range. Like it doesn't change. It doesn't fluctuate like Liverpool signing.
I saw a tweet the other day that said they're definitely handing them crypto sticks in the meetings.
Like drives.
How is Nunez?
They've got like a Bitcoin wallet. They just give them the USD.
How much you pay for
Kusanov was 35.
Yeah,
Kusanov, like how is Marmoush the same as like close to Nico Gonzalez, close to Nunez, close to Doku, like Reinders? How are they all the same range? Like how,
I think because that money is a value to a team like Frankfurt. However you dress it up, that's a lot of money for Frankfurt to generate from a player for Marmoush. And I think probably the wages that they're able to pay, it just is probably fair value for what's left on the contract and the current ability and not being at a top side. And I think that's what they've done well. When you look at Mares, they signed him from Leicester. When you look at Haaland, they signed him from Dortmund, which is a little bit bigger, but they still only paid around 60 million apparently in transfer book value. Whether or not there's more behind the scenes, we're not really sure. But they've always done a good job at picking up players from sort of smaller teams. The only deal I ever look at really and think they paid over the odds is probably Jack Grealish. I think 100 million was always steep. I think he was really good at Villa. And I think Villa had every right to ask for that money. Huh?
Yeah, buyout. Yeah.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
An extension and put a buyout.
That's the only one that I look at and think that was excessive. But other than that, I feel like they're always like fair value in terms.
The one thing with City as well is they've basically lost like one of the best players in the world because of Foden's form as well. Do you know what I mean? Like he wins Premier League Player of the Season and then he dips off and he can barely get back into the team for whatever reason. So I think that's a big gap that Guardiola probably wasn't planning for. Do you know what I mean? So he's trying to have to fill that and bring in the creativity. De Bruyne was obviously trying to help them in certain ways in his last season, but he's just not the same player.
Do you think Foden's better than like for me? If Foden's back at the level he was when he won Player of the Season, I still think he's better than Cherki. I think he's better than Wirtz. I think he's probably ahead
but
of
if he's
Palmer.
if he's player of the
Palmer-
season, then like he's the
Palmer
best
had
player
a
of the league. You know
better-
what I mean?
Palmer had a better season than Phil Foden, even when City won the league. The difference is Foden has delivered in a team that won the title and had a magnificent end of the season. But overall, the best player
Palmer
that
was
year,
the
definitely
Palmer
Cole
that okay. And this is not to discredit how good Palmer was that season, because Palmer was unbelievable for us that season, right? But Phil Foden did it in a team that also had Haaland scoring an excessive amount of goals. Foden found a way. Palmer was the only guy performing for Chelsea that season, so everything went through him, right?
Yeah.
You've got a player like Haaland putting up ridiculous numbers, and Foden still found a way to put up GA that
And
was
he-
better than
and
the
he-
majority of the Premier League from midfield.
And he rescued
Like-
us in games that we were like Foden just stepped up in what happened to him is
against
he just stepped up in a way
against,
where you're
like,
like what the hell, because I knew he had a level, but the stepping up was a bit too much. There's a point where it was as if even the guys around, even Haaland, remember, was pointing at him like that, you're the king. It's as if
But what
he
is
just took
harder,
over the team.
Patrick?
He
What
just
is
took over
harder?
the team. What do you mean?
What is harder? He didn't take over the team. Kevin De Bruyne got involved in more games in the second half of the season.
KDB on the
That's a fact. By the way, I'm just literally telling you a fact. I'm not telling you an opinion.
yeah, but KDB
Kevin
on
De
the looked
Bruyne-
good at the Newcastle at the last games though.
I'm telling you a fact. Kevin De Bruyne in the running got involved in more games. I got G in more games than Phil Foden. I'm not saying Phil Foden had a bad season,
No, he
But
got
is it
involved at the end
harder?
though, isn't it?
but is it
Yeah.
harder in from game week 20, the last 18 games? Is it harder to do what Cole Palmer did in a dead team like Chelsea, or to play in the best manager in the world under Pep Guardiola, where everything around you is suited for you to shine and have good performances? Which
Yeah,
one
but
is
that's-
harder?
That's
No, but
disingenuous,
I don't
though.
think. Yeah, I don't think like you think about Chelsea and Palmer. Everything goes through Palmer, whereas
Yeah.
with Foden, not everything
I think
goes
it
through.
did. I think it did, Jamie. I think we've seen it shift
Yeah.
this season. Actually, I think.
But then he hasn't
Maresca's
been
made a
able
point.
to been able to get to those levels when everything is going through him. Do you know what I mean? So like there is, I think if you have a player in your team of say Foden or Palmer's quality, and the ball is just going to them constantly, and he's taking all the penalties, taking all the free kicks, taking all the corners, naturally his numbers are going to be inflated. I think Palmer probably overperformed what is his natural level to like last season when he was not the season just gone, the one before. And I think he's probably somewhere in between what we've seen this season and the season
Do
before.
you think Palmer has a place in this City team? Sorry, Foden. Does Foden have a place in the City
Yeah,
team?
100%. They're like, he's one of their own. They're not going to want to get rid of him. They're not, and anyone going to buy him is going to have to pay. Like, they're not going to let him go for less than 100 million. Do you know what I mean? If Wirtz
He's
is
a
going
good
for
player.
130,
He's a good player, but I don't think that Cole Foden, for example, can do what Cole Palmer did. Let me just tell you my logic about this. If Cole Palmer went to City that season, City would have still won the title. But if Phil Foden went to Chelsea, that's my belief. That's an opinion now. That's not a fact. I believe that Chelsea would not have been even finishing sixth.
Yeah,
That
that can
is a
probably be
belief.
said about England, can't it? I think England proved that with Foden.
That is a belief. Is that a fact? It's not a fact. It's a hypothetical. That is what I would think. That Cole Palmer, if he's given the chance that Phil Foden has given at Chelsea, at Man City, I believe that City would have still won the title. But if Cole Palmer left Man City and went to Chelsea, he wouldn't have been able to put the numbers that Cole Palmer has done. That is my belief.
I think he would. I think people just look at him because
Right.
sometimes things don't work out in England. But sometimes when you like get rid of the chains on Foden, sometimes he becomes unplayable. Like he becomes. You can ask PSG. I remember there was a PSG game where we were surprised. Pep just left him to be a free 10. He cooked PSG. He cooked them. That's the time when he wrote that tweet to Mbappe before that game, and he cooked them. And he was so much trouble at the point where Neymar was like, this guy was unplayable. It's just the fact that I have noticed that I think it's the England stick that hits him a lot. I think the fact that he goes to England and things don't work out, people just say, oh, he can't work out outside this. This guy is the guy. Like, look, at the end of the day at City, we always knew that Copa Marketi, Lavia are ballers. We knew that regardless, they are ballers. But if you've seen what's his name, Foden, even in the World Cup, he was the player of the World Cup. It's just that when he came to City and when they start dragging him left, dragging him right, I think sometimes he just confuses him and he just becomes a system player. But when you see him, that when he takes over and he has the confidence, as Pep Guardiola said, sometimes I tell Foden to not be a nice guy. I tell him sometimes you have to tell me that you don't want to do that. as a player, he says, you have to come to my office and tell me, I don't want to do that for Pep. I'm going to do this. And he told him. Like last season, I'm telling you, I was impressed. 27 goals, none of them were penalties. And the way he was playing, I'm telling you, I know Rodry was on fire, but it was as if he was announcing himself that I'm taking over. That's why I was disappointed this season. I was like, you literally announced yourself. I thought this was going to be the Foden number 10 team. But obviously he came out and said he's had an issue with his knee. He has to look at his knee. He's had personal issues. So maybe we'll see this season. I think at his best, I would put Cherki as a right winger. Foden at his best as the number 10, I'll put Cherki as a right winger. That's just me. And I think if he went to Chelsea, and let me even answer this small big fish in a small pond. It's the same as Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish looked like a bowler in Aston Villa. And a lot of people tell me today that somebody asked me the similar thing. Is like, do you think so and so Foden can go to Villa and do what? I was like, I think most of these big guys, if they go to a small fish sometimes, not trying to say Chelsea.
Do you think Phil Foden is in the conversation with Wirtz, Cherki, Palmer in terms of the number 10s in the league next season?
Yeah,
do you think
he is.
I think as well, though, just with like the Palmer Foden debate, I think like Foden winning player of the season, but I almost feel like we still talk about Palmer more in terms of like how good he is.
Season, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But and I feel the opposite as well. When Foden's been so bad this season, we still talk about how bad Palmer is. So like I think that may be the case because obviously Foden's playing in a Man City team that are like naturally going to be a little bit more dominant. They'll be better in games and they'll probably win more, like say trophies at the minute than say Chelsea, where Chelsea are. But I think we hold them to different standards in terms of like highs and lows as well. So I think that comes into it.
Isn't it the same thing where I was telling the guys about this, that Foden, Saka, Palmer, all these guys, the reason why we all talk about them even as rivals is because
same age. Same kind of
profile. But they are ballers.
But the future of England, like we need to. This is the conversation that is interesting for people.
Can I ask you more?
I like it actually.
If you start listing down, let's say for instance, players in the Premier League, you will start with Salah. Okay, KDB is gone, so it used to be KDB.
Salah and KDB are in a level different.
Yeah. So now you obviously go to like Van Dijk, but when you go chip down, you start talking about Saka, Foden, Palmer. You know what I mean? Like there's not many out there. It's like Rodgers is coming
now.
Now
we're gonna have Wirtz. Now we're gonna have Cherki. Now we're gonna have more exciting players to talk about. We're moving away from the Pep Guardiola era to more the bowlers FC, the people that are free, that play good football, and I like it, to be honest.
I think
Guardiola
will change this season. I think Pep will change. I think the signings. Actually, I remember we did a show maybe just before January with Nobbins, and we were saying that, and Nobbins was saying this: the signings that Manchester City are looking to make suggest that they're going to move in a different direction. I think now with even more signings coming in and the way Pep's been speaking, I think Manchester City, look, there'll be fundamentals that Pep won't be able to let go of. I think you'll still be heavily possession based, and he's got his fundamentals that he won't let go. But I think there'll be an adjustment in how they play. And I wouldn't be surprised if it went a little bit more similar to back when you had Sane and Sterling and players like that, where it was a little bit more free flowing because
even Reinders then. He's a very free player on the pitch.
Players like Reinders, players like Cherki, players like Aït-Nouri, players like Marmoush, and even Haaland at times have all thrived in teams that have been a little bit more vertical, a little bit more transition based, rather than this flat, static.
I don't know though. Have we ever seen Guardiola team be a transitional team? Do you know what I mean? He's all about control.
Not transitional, but not transitional.
How he speaks, Jamie, right? He's saying that he's seen teams become a lot more fluid, and he's seen football changing in front of him. And I think you've always got to remember that Guardiola has always been a step ahead of football. And I think this season he found himself a step behind compared to some other teams. Yeah. And I think that shocked him. And I think he'll do everything he can to get his team playing in a way that confuses the other teams.
It doesn't have to be transition. It can be just more direct towards goal. Like, let me just tell you the difference. The Barcelona team that played with Neymar, Suarez, and Messi, they were position-based, but they used to reach the goal from the shortest distance.
But that wasn't his team, though. That was everything.
I know. I'm just giving examples of how different, even with Messi, you can play. With the Messi, the 2012 or the 2009, it's more position, slow-paced team to reach the goal. When the MSN came up, it's like the most direct football I've seen at Barcelona. We watch now City play with the likes of Marmoush, with the likes of Reinders, Cherki. It's more of like, let's get to the goal as fast as we can. It doesn't have to be transition.
But that was like that 2015 team with Messi and like MSN. That was Luis Enrique.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I like with Guardiola. Is what I'm saying is I've never known him to
Dribble.
Yeah,
I think, Jamie, I think we've seen it though.
Second,
right. During the treble, did against PSG.
Guys, just before the second half of the season, the treble season, Man City shifted from being the boring team that you watch pass the ball
They were
around
just direct.
to one of the like, let's go to the goal. Let's get to Mahrez, dribble a couple of players, cut back, let's shoot, let's get to the goal. It didn't look like Man City were passing the ball 50,000 times before they create the best goals. We've seen Man City dribble. We've seen Man City go direct. We've seen Man City go and cross for Haaland. Haaland scored a lot of headers. That triple team, I think, was one of the most complete teams I've seen. The second half of the season, where like, you know what? 10 passes, we're in the opposition's half. Let's cross. Let's cut back. Let's shoot.
That's
Even
why I think
Rodry used to
Grealish
take
thrived
shots.
in that team as well. Grealish was really good in that team because it allowed him to be a little bit more independent and go against the grain of what Pep would normally ask of him. And I think it allowed him to sort of bring out his individual brilliance. And I think that's what Pep is looking to do again this season. I think he's signing players that have got a high level of individual brilliance. They have their own thought process around how to achieve results on the pitch. And I think he's going to allow them to just thrive.
Even Doku, Dan.
Yeah.
Do we think Doku is dribbling on his own? No. Pep Guardiola is telling him, go out there, take on defenders, try it.
Yeah, but like I think this is what I mean though.
Scared, by the way, of this. He's like a little bit. It's like, what the fuck?
I can see from Jimmy's face.
I'm scared.
Guardiola's never went 2 seasons without winning the league. So like I am scared of what he could come back and do. Do you know what I mean? And you don't write City off at all. The only thing I'm thinking of is like even with Doku, he like the way he plays football, even like this season when they haven't had the same quality of players to play the way he wants to play in terms of like defending like high up and like they defends with like his 4 centre backs and controls the whole game. He brings on Doku just as like a Hail Mary almost sometimes to go out and try and do something. And I don't think he likes that. Every time he does it, I feel like he's giving up his control.
He keeps playing him, Jamie.
No, but he doesn't. He doesn't keep playing. He brings him in and out of the team when he feels like he needs something different. Like sometimes he starts, sometimes he doesn't. And I don't, especially with Doku's output, I like in terms of his like getting to like the final pass or getting that goal. I don't think he's at that level of, say, if we go back to Sterling and Sane, that they don't have that level of quality to transition to that. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I still think he's going to be kind of sticking to his principles in terms of like wanting to control games. But I just think he's hoping that the level of quality
to be honest with you,
the level of quality that he brings in will help him get back to like dominating teams. Do you know what I mean? But I think
Jamie,
can I ask you, Dan, something? He can't do this with Marmoush. He's not that kind of player. He's not.
If he brings
Savinho is not a position-based player.
Those players,
he's not.
he will stifle all of those players because they.
But I don't think, like, I think that's what he does. Like sometimes,
he's not going to do. And Rory, look at what he's building.
Do you want me to tell you something? Reinders is not like that position-based player that will pass. Reinders is a very direct footballer who likes to get to the goal.
And
Nori as well. Nori is more of a dribbler.
See, he's building something. He's building something different here.
How are we saying that he does this while he's bringing all these players? He can't go back.
That's why I think there's such an obvious shift, because when you look at the players that he's bringing in, I think these are all players that he cannot allow to stifle. They all need to be they need to be given freedom and
I get
allowed
that.
to
I
thrive.
get that.
That's why I think there's going to be an obvious change. If he doesn't change, I actually don't think he'll be able to get the best out of these players, and I think you'll start to see the decline of Guardiola, if you like. Maybe you could, like, we don't know yet. We don't know what's going. I would back Pep to actually make a change here and get this, because you can find differences throughout even his time at Just City. You can find differences in how his team have played. You can find differences through Bayern Munich, Barcelona. You can find differences there. And I think Pep will have enough to be able to do something here. If not, he's building a team that will be perfect for someone to come into and take over and be able to work with. And that could be what he's doing as his last sort of gift to Manchester City. But
Dan, you can also see the assistant manager. Look at the change in the assistant manager. He's
getting
rid of all of the dressing room, the backroom stuff. All of them. He's getting rid of all the backroom stuff.
There's no bomba here, guys. There's no bomba.
And you know what?
He's literally recycling the news. Sorry, Dan.
That's what Ferguson used to do so well. Ferguson would always switch up his backroom staff to reinvent the Manchester United team. And I think Pep has been at City for so long that maybe the message started getting a little bit too stale. He doesn't want to leave. He isn't leaving. They'll just change the player. They'll just change the backroom staff up. Pep Lijnders coming in. I mean, Jamie knows firsthand with Pep Lijnders. It's a completely different style of football.
Listen, it's the summer of snakes. Fucking hell.
Yeah, but seriously though, right? Pep Lijnders was obviously huge.
Yeah, it was huge. Yeah.
Jurgen Klopp's style of football, and I think that's why I think there's an obvious change here, because he had his Spanish contingent, his South American contingent coaching, working in that dressing room. Now he's bringing in these guys that have worked heavily around like Jurgen Klopp's style of football and German football and pressing and transition-based football. I think we'll see a difference. Although Pep Lijnders didn't exactly do well as a first man, as a manager, I think we'll see him do well for City as an assistant.
It is interesting. I just think like we've come so used to like how he plays football. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not like he's built multiple unbelievable teams in his time. I just think him trying to shift his methodology and trying to get that across the players that are so used to playing his way, I think that will be difficult. And I don't see him doing it personally. I think he'll bring them in. I think he's hoping to raise the quality of the players that he has to play his system. But I think teams have found him out, and that's why they haven't been as good this year in terms of, I think teams go more direct when they like the goal Crystal Palace scored. Like, which was they pressed Crystal Palace, ball over the top, they got through, they had a fullback on the overlap, and then they get a goal. Do you know what I mean? And I just think they run out of ideas a little bit, and teams understand how to like play against them now. I think that's why I this year he looked frustrated. He looked like his message wasn't being understood by the players, and I don't know if that's the quality or he feels like he needs to change something. So I think that would be a question.
I don't see the problem with me with Pep Guardiola is I don't think he actually knows how to set up the team defensively at all. Just doesn't.
I think they're defensively weak. Like, you know, I actually one of the videos I did there recently, I was talking about like how good, like, say, the games have been with all the goals, and someone commented and said like it's actually defenses are just like so bad like now in terms of they all want to say play out from the back. They don't really get defenders that just want to defend. They all want to like in some way be like stepping up into midfield or like flying wing backs. So like we're creating all these, or like say Barcelona with their high line. Do you know what I mean? So it is interesting to think that I think he's probably struggling with that as well. I think that's his own fault because he wants that type of player in terms of like playing out from the back and stepping in midfield, and it's like come full circle almost.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But listen, people, there's no bomba from Fabrizio Romano. It's literally, he changed 2 words. He's literally said advanced stop. It's the same exact from May 29th. A week later, he's really reposted the same tweet and just changed a couple of words. That's what he did. We know that Arsenal are in talks. But listen, people, I want to thank everyone that joined us. Pick up Jamie's story, the celebrity now joining us here on our humble show, The Rational League. Of course, Dan, always here. This is, to be honest with you, I miss this show, broski. Like, just talking football with the guys. It's just fucking phenomenal, to be honest. Patrick, pick up for joining us and running back from your daughter's thing to make us here. And big up Adam for joining us. Appreciate everyone that joined us. This will take you to the football terrace with Don, Staffy, and Lawless. Harry, that will be a fiery show. I will see you guys later, maybe in 3 days because it's Eid and I might travel with my family. Happy Eid to everyone. Eid Mubarak. I will see you guys soon. And we are out of here, people.